When the Pixel Fold first came out, a lot of people had issues with the way that Google was going about things. Most people were pretty concerned about paying $1,800 for a folding phone that not only looked pretty dated compared to the competition, but also wasn't even optimized properly to run most of the apps that it was designed for. But according to more recent rumors, it sounds like Google's actually working on a second version that could address all of the issues that people had with the first version. The only downside is that it might not actually be released this year. Now, one of the biggest complaints that people had with the Pixel Fold was that it wasn't really properly optimized to run a lot of the apps that it was intended to run. Whenever you ran an app on the Pixel Fold, there was usually a pretty good chance that there would be some black borders around the screens, and this is because Google was actually using wider displays than what other companies like Samsung use on their foldables. But supposedly, Google will be addressing this issue by giving the Fold 2 some slightly wider displays that'll give the phone a bit more of a squarish design when it's open. And this would bring the design a bit more in line with something like the Galaxy Fold, which is also a bit more narrow. But supposedly the body itself would also be a little bit thinner, so not only would that shave off a little bit of the weight, but it would feel a little bit nicer in your hand when you're actually holding it, and plus it wouldn't feel as thick in your pocket. So what you're seeing right now is supposedly a leaked image of what it's expected to look like, and something you might notice is the camera bump in the top left. So what Google did with the Fold 1 was that they kept all the cameras in a sort of horizontal bar on the back, but what it looks like Google will be doing with the Fold 2 is actually changing this to use a square bump. And instead of using 3 cameras like on the Fold 1, Google will supposedly be adding a 4th sensor to the Fold 2. There's nothing definite yet about what it could be, but there's a possibility that it could either be a time of flight sensor for better portrait photos, or it could be an extra zoom lens for better zoom photos. And since cameras are usually the first thing to go on a folding phone to keep the cost down, Google might be trying to give the Fold 2 the best cameras on a folding phone right now. And chances are Google would be helping this by updating the camera processing with the Tensor G4 chip that should be running on the Fold 2. Now, even though it will be running the G4 processor, which is expecting to be running the Pixel phones coming out later this year, there is a possibility that it could actually be released next year instead, sometime in the first half of the year. But if it does come out this year, then it could end up coming out sometime in May during Google's I/O event. Now, even though the G4 might not be as powerful as the chips that run other flagship phones, Google's main strength in this area is artificial intelligence, and that could end up being the biggest strength on the Fold 2. And we're also hearing that Google could give the Fold 2 16 gigabytes of RAM along with the latest storage speeds, so this, alongside whatever new AI features that Google comes out with, should help compensate for that lack of speed. And even though we don't have anything concrete about battery life or charging speeds, we are hearing that Google is working on a phone with a 5,000 milliamp hour battery. And there is a possibility that this could be the Pixel Fold 2, but some other rumors speculate that it could instead be the Pixel 8a, which will be coming out later this year, possibly alongside the Pixel 9 lineup. If you want to hear more about the Pixel 8a, then make sure to check out this video next, because it actually looks like it could be one of the best value smartphones of this year. So be sure to go check that video out next, and I'll see you over there. Adios.